wherever you long, we welcome you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent. I'm the Reverend Stephen Protzman, your minister. Thank you for joining us this morning as we gather virtually once again, a spiritual community that seeks to be diverse and inclusive as we inspire love, work for justice, and grow together in community. I'd like to express my thanks to our team leading worship remotely, especially our youth, Raylyn and Allison, participating in this morning's service, and our tech team who won't be on camera. This morning, it is a pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Geraldine Hayes Nelson, President of the Portage County NAACP. And once again, welcome to this time together. Now, as we prepare for worship, let's take a moment to breathe together, to invite the Spirit that is life and love to be present among us, and to call to mind the spirit of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his dream, which we seek to carry on until his vision for beloved community comes to be.
Morally, I was led to nonviolence because I felt that it was the best moral way to deal with the problem. We were seeking to establish a just society, and it was my feeling then, and it is my feeling now, that violence is certainly much more socially destructive, and it creates many more social problems than it solves. So I was led to nonviolence for deep moral reasons. And I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
There is no freedom, the wise man said, let justice roll down when the poor cry out for shelter and bread. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Hatred will never drive out hate. Let love roll down, roll down. Remember, our hearts can make us great. Let love roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let your love roll down like a mighty stream. When brutality threatens our daughters and sons, let peace roll down, roll down. May our voices rise up louder than the guns. Let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Step by step, one by one, let justice roll down, roll down. They can kill the prophet, but the dream lives on. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let justice roll down like a mighty stream.
I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
Many issues plague our humanity, existing for centuries and seeming unsolvable, including war, racism, oppression, and poverty. Many have tried and are still trying, but it is no longer the fight of the many. It is the fight of everyone. In order to erase these challenges, we must start small on our individual levels. One person cannot solve all of the issues in our world, racism, war, poverty, oppression. But one person, then another, and another, each operating in their own worlds, comes together to create a big difference. It can be very easy to sit around and think to ourselves, man, war really sucks, and I wish poverty would disappear and we were all created equal. But thoughts are not actions. To start your individual journey to eradicate these issues, again, start small. Vote in elections, local, primary, and general. Help place peaceful leaders in office, ones that will lead instead of frighten. Show your support for people of color by placing signs in your yards, buying from Black-owned businesses, donating money to anti-racism organizations. Donate food, clothing, toys to those in need through homeless shelters and other organizations. So many things can be done. As small as they might seem, they add up to make a difference. They could even be as small as welcoming a new neighbor to your neighborhood to spread peace. This movement for a better world has existed for a long time. Gandhi spread peace through nonviolent protests and movements, Martin Luther King telling the world that it is time to end discrimination against people of color, enacting equality and equity. So many others have helped to create a better world, and we must continue what has been started. This is what is to come of a commitment to ending these issues, a better world. It may take years, decades even, but one step forward means progress in the right direction. Our younger generation is ready to take on the task of continuing this fight, and already are. In the better world that I envision, it is a simpler world. Symbols of hate and bigotry expunged, citizens welcoming everyone to this land, and finally living up to what America means, liberty for all. As far away as this may seem, with the recent riot against our Constitution, displays of the Southern flag streaming on our televisions, we are getting closer to this better world. Those once suppressed are becoming leaders in the workplace and in politics. Organizations have been created to help the impoverished, and so much more has been done. Still, we must continue the fight. Fight for the children of today and of tomorrow, for the families of soldiers, to protect young men from unlawful deaths and discrimination, and to help shelter those in need with warmth and compassion. As Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their characters. To reach this, it starts with you and me and your children and families and everyone. Let's continue to strive for this goal of equality, peace, and security, for we are almost there. Come, let us worship together.
We join Unitarian Universalists across the country in lighting a chalice. It's a sign of life's beauty and wonder, a symbol of peace and hope, an invitation to continue our ongoing search for the light of truth within us and among us, a reminder that we are all interconnected in the great web of existence of which we are each a beloved part, and it's a light to guide us toward that land where there is singing, where there is justice, where there is freedom. Now, as you light your home chalice, I will light our shared chalice. And I invite you to join me in the words of our chalice lighting. We come together to remind ourselves to treat all people kindly because they are our brothers and sisters, to take good care of the earth because it is our home, to live lives full of goodness and love because that is how we will make our world the best place it can be. In the spirit of universalism, where the joys and sorrows of who we really are and are becoming can be expressed and shared, we take time to call to mind the joys and sorrows that come with living, to hold one another in the spirit of care and compassion, to turn inward for a few moments to connect with the love that is the very heart of life itself, and to reflect on life's mysteries. I invite you now to use the chat box to share your joys and concerns with one another. I share the joy of Allison and Ray Lynn participating in this service and showing us already what leaders they are. Thank you both. All right, the Sussman family are sharing gratitude for Ryan's successful knee surgery on Wednesday. I hope healing continues to go well. Heidi Emhoff Wood tells us she is thinking of her friend Sarah, who is dealing with the difficult mental health issues of her son. May Sarah find peace. May she find grace and compassion in this time. Max and Shayna share great news. Sophie's diagnostic procedure on her brain showed no more abnormal blood vessels. She's now considered low risk for further problems. Oh, that's wonderful news. Thank you for sharing this with us. Carolyn Schlemmer shares that her niece Rachel and her whole family in Columbus have COVID and are recuperating at home. May they heal and be well. From the Rome family, Evian shares being nervous about getting 4 teeth pulled out next week and getting braces. May that go easily and smoothly for you, Evian, and may you heal quickly. Elaine Bowen shares that their infant grandnephew, John Williams, is in the hospital with an infection. May he heal.
I invite you now to join with me in a mindful moment body prayer. Take some time to breathe and move into a meditative position. You can do this by standing, as I am, but you can do this sitting as well. Center your body and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. I will show you the prayer and then invite you to move through it with me once. And then we will complete the prayer in silence together 3 times. We begin with our hands in front of us to find our inner quiet. We raise our arms up high, reaching ourself to our highest dreams. We bring our hands back to our hearts to affirm the strength of our inner voice. And finally, we extend our hands out in front of us to offer ourselves in service to others. Let's go through this together with the words before we do it silently together. Our hands in front to recognize our inner quiet. Our hands up high to reach for our highest dreams. Our hands to our hearts to affirm the strength of our inner voice. And our hands extended outward to offer ourselves in service to others. Let's begin the prayer together.
Paul and Silas were bound in jail, had no money to buy their own bail. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Paul and Silas began to shout, the jail door opened and then they walked out. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Hold There's just one chain a man can stand. That's the chain of a hand in hand. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Well, I'm gonna board that old greyhound. Gonna spread love from town to town. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. There's just one thing that I did wrong. Stayed in the wilderness a day too long. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. But there's one thing that we did right. That was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
Throughout the religious education year, we spend at least 1 week each month to focus on justice work for our Black, Indigenous, and people of color human siblings. Then each January, we put a pin in our curriculum and spend that month diving deeper into this work. The idea came with the realization that our children need teachers and trusted adults in their lives to tell them the age-appropriate truth about racism and oppression in our country. And that beyond that learning, they need and deserve opportunities to learn skills and be offered tools to do something about it. That's why a few years ago, Justice January was born. In this particular Justice January for 2021, the children of our congregation are returning to the lessons of Dr. King and other leaders of the civil rights movement to discover the ways that they are empowered and can empower others to continue this work, working for peace, justice, and equity for all. Our youth are speaking out in school and here at church. Our younger grades are discovering ways to use their voices and actions to support and care for their fellow human beings through letter writing campaigns and having conversations with friends and family and supporting local justice workers in their missions. They are learning that everyone can play a part and is needed in the fight for collective liberation. From the famous names that we've all learned to those working behind the scenes, like Georgia Gilmore, who secretly fed the civil rights movement. Her small operation of cooking meals for protesters eventually became a way to fund the movement as well as it grew. Every step, however small, taken in the direction of liberation for our human family is worth taking. I believe Allison said that in her call to worship. Even children, or especially children, can make an impact. You need only look to the Children's March of 1963 to see that. In addition to our learning and journeying together, the children of our beloved community choose the recipient of our January special collection to reflect the work that they are doing. In years past, they've raised money and asked for your financial contributions to feed families and children here in Kent. They've raised money to help families separated at our southern border and to bring those families back together again. And they've raised money for many other organizations doing work for justice. This year, our children came to the conclusion that this money would be most useful at the local level. So this year, the children and youth felt strongly that the local Portage County NAACP would receive our January special collection, as they are doing such important work in this community, which you'll hear about in a little bit. I could not be more proud of these kids. Their loving and justice-seeking hearts inspire me to keep going, and I have a feeling that they inspire you to keep going too. Their thoughtful and strong voices remind us that this generation is capable and ready to keep moving the needle and bending the arc of the moral universe towards justice. But enough from this grown-up. Let's hear from Raylan Rome.
On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech that is still relevant today. That speech was titled, "I Have a Dream." In that speech, Dr. King called for equal civil and economic rights and an end to racism in the U.S. He hoped that someday African Americans could be accepted in society and treated as equals. Over 250,000 people came from all over the country to hear Dr. King speak. In his speech, he said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." When I think of his speech, I think of how he stood up for what was right, no matter the consequence. Dr. King was arrested 29 times. He received numerous death threats. But still, he kept protesting for what was right. Now, people are still protesting, despite the risk. Despite the risk of police shooting them or using tear gas. They protest because innocent Black people are still getting murdered and the white people are still getting away with it. And that's wrong. I also think a part of his speech relates to the pandemic. He said, "I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. Even though thousands are dying and thousands are sick and in hospitals, I believe that if we work together, we can defeat COVID. If we wear masks, practice social distancing, and get the vaccines, then we can stop the spread of COVID." To me, when I think of Dr. King, I think of how he helped change the USA. He taught people that everyone is equal, no matter their skin color. Did you know that the reason there are different skin colors is because of the equator? It's true. The closer you are to the equator, the darker your skin gets. When I think of Dr. King, I think of how he hoped for a time where Black and white people can be friends. I think of Joy, who was one of my closest friends throughout elementary school. I think of another friend I met in 5th grade. They're both Black. I've grown up in a community where we see skin color as something special about a person and don't judge them based on their skin color. We see the people and their personalities. We don't judge them because of their skin color. But at school, some people are judged and bullied, and that's wrong. I'm a kid, so I can't organize protests or go to them on my own, but I can help those kids understand that not everyone will judge them. I've spoken up for a friend and will continue to help others when they need it. On Thursday, April 4th, 1968, Dr. King was assassinated because of what he believed in. His dream was to keep moving forward so that someday people would be able to speak their thoughts without fear, without having to worry, and most of all, for everyone to be accepted as they are.
The UU Youth for Justice youth group, in which I'm a part, is a group of high schoolers dedicated to helping progress social justice. We usually have at least one project going at a time. In the summer, it was painting rocks with helpful sayings and secretly dropping them off at church members' houses. Then in the fall, creating a church service in which we made a statement in support of racial justice, conveying the need for equity and the end of police violence. Currently, our project is the 30-Day Kindness Challenge. It sounds simple, and it is, but its purpose is immense. For the last month, we UUYJ members have been making our way through a checklist of kindful tasks. These tasks range from baking something for your neighbor, picking up trash, and smiling at strangers. All simple tasks, but ones that greatly affect another's life. I recall in one of our recent Zoom meetings, a story was shared by one of my fellow youth. They told of how a neighbor of theirs was alone on Thanksgiving, their children not coming to visit for the holiday due to the current pandemic. So the UUYJ member, along with their family, brought treats that they had baked over to their neighbor and were greeted with a big smile. This small act of kindness gave their neighbor great joy and comfort. So in these trying times, I invite you to attempt this challenge. Every day, or just throughout the next month, perform some acts of kindness. Show a stranger that they matter, tell your friend how much they mean to you, and spread kindness.
Thank you, Raylyn and Allison. Raylyn spoke to us of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, a world in which all people can share in the abundance of the earth, a world where poverty, hunger, and homelessness don't exist, a world where racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice have been replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of belonging, of family, where love and trust triumph over fear and hatred, where peace and justice prevail. His dream was to change hearts and minds in the hope of creating true world community. This weekend, we honor and remember the life and ministry of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But I'm not here to praise him or put him on a pedestal. Dr. King wouldn't want that. Instead, he would challenge us as a faith community to live out our values as fully as possible by working for racial justice. At this time in American history, with racism and white supremacy so open and visible, the work of racial justice is one of the most urgent tasks awaiting those of us who have a vision of bringing an end to what has been called America's original sin, racism, and its ugly, destructive legacy of oppressing, brutalizing, and murdering people of color. If we are serious about being a church, our calling, our deepest vocation must be the work of leveraging our privilege and our power to end discrimination, racism, poverty, fear, and hatred. We must be fearless and willing also to risk discomfort in order to see and dismantle the racism and systems of white supremacy that are present in our congregation, in the UUA, and in our institutions. How can we move more deeply into this work? Our Race for Justice team has been working with you to create a statement of our congregation's commitment to racial justice, which will provide guidance and direction for us. Here's the current draft of that statement. Do we have a slide, please? Would you join me in reading it? As people of conscience, we hold ourselves accountable to our Unitarian Universalist values of justice, equity, and compassion that call us to recognize the worth and dignity of all. We commit ourselves to bold action in ending systemic racism through active listening, visible advocacy, and interfaith partnerships directed at supporting Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. We will be a catalyst in dismantling racism through educating ourselves and others, building relationships with racially diverse people and groups, bearing witness and speaking out in public demonstrations of support of anti-racism, advocating for institutional change, and participating in community action. Our Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent commitment to racial justice tagline, uniting in witness, speaking courageously, working for collective liberation. This draft will be sent out to you this week via our midweek e-news, and the Race for Justice team will also share it during the town hall next Sunday after the service. You will be invited to offer feedback about this draft so it can be refined and ready for a vote that will affirm your willingness to not only continue the work of racial justice, but to commit more deeply so that someday peace and justice will flow across our land like a mighty stream, and we will be a people of righteousness. There are many ways to live out this commitment. In a few moments after we sing together, we will hear from the president of the Portage County NAACP, Dr. Geraldine Hayes Nelson, who has graciously prepared a talk with us that not only recognizes the leadership of our children and youth, but also offers some ways we can actively participate in racial justice work. Let us listen to her words with open ears and hearts eager to receive this information. Let us listen with hands and spirits ready to join in this work. In 1967, Dr. King said, "Now let us begin. Now let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. The choice is ours, and though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this critical moment of human history. It is time to choose. It is time to begin. It is time to answer love's call. Now I invite you to join in singing our hymn of affirmation, Answering the Call of Love.
Promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together, hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Geraldine Hayes Nelson, and as stated, I am the president of the Portage County NAACP. And we're the oldest civil rights organization in the nation. I am pleased to join you on this day as we commemorate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King. And so I say to you today, if not now, when? For today my heart is heavy and filled with sorrow for the state of our beloved society. The fate of our democracy is under attack. And we at the NAACP, we're done with the senseless acts of hatred and racism, the false imprisonment and poorly supported systems for those who need them the most. Yet, we continue to have too many elected officials and too many who are making decisions that ignore the specific needs of our beloved community. As an African American, I never thought that I would see the day where I felt that I was back in history. And when I say that, no longer do we see the white hats and the masks of the KKK. We don't know where those people are. And so these types of acts have brought back to so many within the community a sense of hopelessness and a sense of fear. But we don't stop there, because we as a people and as believers, we have made a decision to stand up for justice. And we need you, the church today, We need everyone to stand for justice and unity. Enough is enough. We're done being discriminated against, being marginalized, being ignored. For you see, we are not disposable. The Portage County NAACP this year, our theme is Press On, Building Unity in Our Community. At the state level, we have worked with the State Department of Education. We have worked with the President's Task Force on Students with Disabilities, and we have looked at various educational issues and looked at the judgment and those decisions for students. But not only do we support an education agenda, locally, our local Portage County, here we sit in on various court cases and we have intervention when called upon through our complaints that's online at our website. Some of our outreach has included partnering with various local organizations, such as the Kent Interfaith Association, where last year we hosted and partnered with the movie, where they had the movie and we partnered with them on the movie Harriet. We have created a framework for Unity Means Community, but that was postponed due to our COVID-19. Currently, we're working with the Portage County NAACP, works with the Ravenna School District on equity and inclusion, and we serve as a task force member. We have worked with our racial and justice allies across Portage County in addressing issues in the Rootstown School District. We have provided diversity training for school boards and had some critical conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have served as a panelist for the Kent Interfaith Association on Black Lives Matter movement. We've worked with local churches and local, in particular your church, in going out and doing social justice advocacy. And some of those things have included the Black Lives Matter movement. We have been out on the streets promoting that advocacy. We had a gospel fest in Plum Creek Park, had several and partnered with several organizations around the Black Lives Matters demonstrations that was held in downtown Kent, as well as there were two that were held in Ravenna. We have worked and been supportive of the Black United students at Kent State University and all that was surrounding the rock and the racist acts and words that were spewed on those rocks. We have worked and presented to the Kent City Council, sharing information about the local Portage County NAACP. Worked once again with our Racial Justice Allies group on Say Her Name. I served as a presenter. And also with your church on the most recently with the 300, the ringing of the bells, of your church bells. And today I say to you that I call upon and seek your support. And I say to our young people, to our youth, our future leaders, this is a call for courage, a call for change. This has been an incredibly difficult year, in particular for the African American community, from the loss of jobs to lost lives, from the corona to the resurgence of Jim Crow and racist acts that have cost us more than we can afford. For right now, we need you. We need you to press on. And that's our theme. We must press on. And we need for you young people to have the courage. We need you to stand up. Because young people, your voice counts. You can be the change that you want to see. And I think about, in particular, I worked for so many years with youth and taking them to Washington, D.C., to the Capitol. And so as I watched all of that play out, I just want to say again that it's important that you know that we need you and we need your voice. We need you to have the courage to advocate, to serve and to do advocacy. We need you to write letters. We want you to do courageous acts to stand against racial hatred and injustice. We need you to stand up. We need you to advocate. And lastly, we need you to have the courage to commit. Find one thing that you can do within your community that could make a difference. For our beloved communities are calling out for justice, for leaders, for people to make a difference, to address all the inequities that plague our society. We need you to help us, the Portage County NAACP, as we try to press on for racial justice and unity. I want to say thank you to the young people for your continued, and I heard about your support to the Portage County NAACP, to the pastor of this great flock of people, and to your young people for having the mindset to want to do something to promote justice. I send to you, and I will continue to pray for you, and that you would pray for the Portage County NAACP as we continue to strive to press on in building unity in our community. I say to you, thank you, and thank you for your continued support.
And I say thank you, Dr. Nelson, for making this video for us, giving us a list of things we can do to press on to continue the work of racial justice. There's another thing we can do, and that's to offer financial support. As Colleen told us, our special collection this month, our religious education, children and youth, chose the Portage County NAACP. We make a difference in the world because we share our money, time, and care with organizations in Kent and beyond, and with this congregation. Because of your generosity, even in this time of COVID, we are strong and thriving as a community and able to be together virtually for worship, for community, for shared ministry. Thank you. In the spirit of gratitude for the gift of one another and this community and the abundance that makes our generosity possible, we now give and receive the offering as a sign of our shared commitment to the life and work of this congregation and beyond.
In Montgomery and Selma, in the streets of Birmingham, the people sent a message to the leaders of the land. We have fought and we have suffered, and we know the wrong from right. We are family, we are neighbors, we are black and we are white. And here I go, bound for freedom. May my truth take the lead, not the preacher, not the Congress, not the millionaire, but me. I will organize for justice. I'll raise my voice in song, and our children will be free to lead the world and carry on. From a cell in Pennsylvania, from an inmate on death row, Mumia had the courage to expose the evil show. From the courtroom to the boardroom, in the television's glare, how the greedy live off poor and hungry people everywhere. Well, here I go, bound for freedom. May my truth take the lead, not the preacher, not the Congress, not the millionaire, but me. I will organize for justice, and I'll raise my voice in song, and our children will be free to lead the world and carry on. Well, here I go, though I'm standing on my own. I remember those before me, and I know I'm not alone. I will organize for justice. I'll raise my voice in song, and our children will be free to lead the world and carry on. From the streets of New York City, across the ocean and beyond, people from all nations create a common bond with our conscience as our weapon. We're witness to the fall. We are simple, we are brilliant, we are one, we are all. Here I go, bound for freedom. May my truth take the lead, not the preacher, not the Congress, not the millionaire, but me. I will organize for justice. I'll raise my voice in song, and our children will be free to lead the world and carry on.
Would you join me now in a responsive reading? These are the words of Martin Luther King Jr. and Angela Herrera, and Colleen will lead you with the words in italics. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny.
From our life's journey, we join as one community, one body of people, together on the side of love.
Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals.
We bring our gifts of compassion and care, our hopes for the future. We bring our dream of peace, together on the side of love.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There are some things in our social system to which all of us ought to be maladjusted.
In covenant together, we answer a call of justice, speaking out against oppression, together on the side of love.
Now let us begin. Now let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. The choice is ours, and though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this crucial moment of human history.
Let us have the courage to go out into the world. Let us dedicate our lives to changing the world. Let us join together in the struggle, together on the side of love.
And now, to bring our time of worship to its close and to prepare ourselves to go out in the world, would you join me in extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. May we carry these in our hearts and minds until we are together again. And once again, these powerful words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now let us begin. Let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. The choice is ours, and though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this critical moment of human history. And now our hearts filled with Dr. King's dream of a world where there is peace and justice, and rededicated to the struggle for a new world, may we go forth in the spirit of hope and possibility to make his dream real and to press on as we continue inspiring love, seeking justice, and growing in community. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.